Well, that sums it up, doesn't it? Just the one word, respect. 4 big changes for the Sydney Swans for this all-important game. And no doubt what has transpired in the past week or so will galvanise this outfit this afternoon. But it's going to be a real contest because Adelaide have a very good record in recent times against Sydney at the SCG. In fact, it's a beautiful day up there, as Dwayne has said. So let's head back to the boys now at the SCG. Here's Dwayne and the team.
Sandy, not just beautiful weather, but a great feel here at the moment. I mentioned it's going to be a full house. It's been a sellout. There's a lot of people here to show their respect to Adam Goodes, and if he's watching, we wish him the best as well. But this is a great atmosphere. It feels like a celebration here, guys.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this one. We want to see where both teams fit into the picture overall as well, and I don't think we're quite sure. I mean, we know that Sydney have been forever considered one of the top 4 sides, but that form's really fallen away the last few weeks. And Adelaide, can they take that next step? And instead of just being in the battle to make up the bottom numbers of the 8, can they actually announce themselves as a finals contender that might be able to do some damage come September, Brownie?
Yeah, no doubt. You look at that, critical now. Richmond's big win last night. Sydney drops out of the top 4, and they really need, this is a must-win game. Adelaide have won the last 4 games here between those two sides. And even more important for Adelaide, can they hang on to the top 8 spot? They've probably got the hardest run home out of all those sort of contenders for those final couple of spots in the top 8.
Let's have a look at the lineups, guys. Take us through these two. Both headed towards September, and it could even be a finals preview. They could end up meeting in September.
Sandy mentioned 4 big changes. Plenty of star power and experience back for the Swans with Franklin, Tippett, McGlynn and Richards in. Brandon Jack starts as the sub. Of course, we know Adam Goodes is missing this week. Mike Pike's out with a knee injury, and Xavier Richards and Zach Jones omitted.
And over to Adelaide, Daniel Talia is a huge back in for the big Buddy Franklin matchup, I would have thought. Jake Lever back there as a NAB rising star. But the one I'm really looking forward to watch is Paddy Dangerfield. He has been fantastic since the Phil Walsh tragedy. You actually look at these numbers in all areas of the game. Number 5 for disposals, but contested possessions and clearances where he's really dominated across the competition. So interesting to watch today. He'll probably go head-to-head against a Luke Parker or a big Josh Kennedy. So some big bodies in there today. He's been terrific. The only knock is sometimes his kicking efficiency, but what a great player he's been.
Isn't it interesting you talk about a Paddy Dangerfield? It's almost like we've seen the demise of the stopper, almost without thinking about it. All of a sudden we're seeing so many key midfielders going head-to-head in certainly in recent months, and it's been an exciting 2015 from that perspective.
Well, that's what I'm interested to see what they do with Tommy Mitchell today, the Sydney Swans. Whether they give him a match-up, maybe a Rory Sloane, who knows?
Well, they tried to do that with Sam Mitchell when they played Hawthorn, but that's not really his role, is it? He's a ball getter.
He is.
So not far away from the bounce of the ball here at the SCG. Sydney Swans are wearing a jumper that goes back to their old-time roots of South Melbourne. Of course, it's a member appreciation jumper they're wearing this afternoon, but the old South Melbourne fans would recognise that one.
They would. And you were chatting before, Brownie, you mentioned there is a good record, Adelaide v Sydney, at the SCG, but they haven't played here for a while. That's the other thing to remember.
It's been 2012, hasn't it?
Well, Sydney have won their last 3 games against Adelaide. They just haven't played them here.
And they haven't met for a year. The last time these two teams actually met was round 3 last year. So it has been one of those fixtures that we don't see all that often. The two captains, as we talked about, Taylor Walker, game 100 this afternoon. The captain, new captain, appointed by Phil Walsh of the Adelaide Football Club. And Kieran Jack for the toss of the coin. And Taylor Walker has won the toss, and he will kick to the right of your screen as the sun starts to break through the clouds again here and dominate at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Downstairs, David King is also with us. Great to have the 2-time North Melbourne champion. Welcome back to you, Kingy.
Thanks, Dwayne. Should be a fantastic battle. The big concern for John Longmire is the defensive brand of football for the Swans. They pride themselves on being difficult to play against, and in particular, difficult to score against. But have a look at the profile across the course of the year. This is a team that only concede on average 75 points a game. The last 2 weeks, they've been taken to. The Hawthorn Football Club took them for 146 points, and West Coast Eagles last week kicked over 100. That'll be the number 1 aim today for John Longmire. Get their defensive brand back.
They do. They need to get hard-nosed in that respect. The other thing we need to take into account, Brownie, is this is the very first time since Kurt Tippett left Adelaide and came to the Sydney Swans that he's actually played against his old team. He's missed the first 3 clashes, and it looks like with Toby Nankervis starting on the bench, that he will pick it up at the first bounce in the middle of the ground.
Well, that's right, Jace. He has got some criticism for his performances this year. I think a lot of that criticism has come from his one-on-one contests in the forward line, but he has played in the ruck a hell of a lot more this year, Jace. He's still kicked his 25 goals, so I believe the insiders of Sydney would be quite happy with his contribution, but they'd love him to see. They'd love to see him pop up and kick a couple of big goals from a couple of big marks.
So Franklin and Reid go forward, also Heaney, McGlynn, Parker and Jack. Hanbury on the wing. So it's Kennedy, Mitchell and McVeigh in with Tippett at the centre bounce against Jacobs, Thompson, Dangerfield and Douglas.
And some goal-scoring power for both teams. You got Eddie Betts on 41 goals. You got Franklin on 42 goals. As the scoreboard shows, it's respect to Adam Goods, as well as the countdown to the bounce. And we're underway. SCG, essentially 4th v 7th at the start of this round. Sloan in that helmet, attacks it, feeds it back. Douglas, Thompson, also been in outstanding form. Heads longer. Walker goes inside, gets a break, lines up from 52. And that could have been a huge start.
Big matchup. Ted Richards back into play on Tex Walker in his 100th game. Be interesting to see how Teddy can handle Walker's power.
If he had been able to nail that one, what a start it would have been, as you called, Dwayne. And just personally for Tex Walker again, he'd be thinking, all right, my 100th game, let's rip this one apart.
Reid attacks this, and Lever got there to make a contest as well. McGlynn, he's also back into the lineup, goes to the Sydney captain, Jack. Held up. Talia working hard on Franklin Jetta. Well, this would bring the house down from outside 50. Well, that's probably the start everyone was after. And there's the celebration.
Well, impressive transition. That's an area of the last month of football, Dwayne, that Sydney Swans have really dropped away. They're virtually number one the first 12 or 13 rounds of the year. The last month, they've been down in the bottom 3 or 4, and it's been mainly because of their skill level really coming out of defence, but really good movement there by Ben McGlynn. I think he's a huge inclusion coming back into the team. Gets it back out to Jetta, who ran the wings beautifully, kept his width, and a lovely finish. We know Jetta can do that. Well done, good finish.
You mentioned Benny McGlynn there, Brown. That's the one he started in the forward 6, but pushed all the way up to half-back. Got the critical handball out that released them.
And great nerve settler for the Sydney Swans, who've been out of form in recent times. Thompson held high, as you saw.
Josh, come back 2 minutes. Josh, back with me. Back here. Stay up, Patrick. Thanks, Patrick. Yours.
Lynch up to the wing.
Play on. No hold.
Plays on immediately. Now Walker was held a forward, and it was allowed to run, and Lyons is back into the lineup as well for the Adelaide Crows. And Jared Lyons can have a crack at it from 45.
Yeah, I'm watching you. You're behind, pull him down.
Umpires
Just come around.
reading the right act early.
Mark's here.
15 seconds.
15 seconds gone.
You could hear a pin drop here. Struck it okay, struck it extremely well, and that settles Adelaide's nerves.
Good finish from Jared Lyons. You can just see movement in the forward line. Walker, Jenkins.
It's good play, wasn't it, Jace? Coming
forced
together.
the swap over of opponents, and while all that was going on, the ball was kicked into space and Lyons was able to get on the end of it. Most importantly, though, when you get these opportunities, particularly playing interstate early, get yourself in the game. He had a few nervous moments, but sneaks it inside the right post.
Really well done. And good setup there. Well done by Walker and Jenkins to keep, I suppose, the attention of the Sydney defenders away from that loose.
Two subs are Crouch and Brandon Jack. Crouch are late in, with Brodie Martin a late out for Adelaide, if you weren't with us earlier on. Dangerfield can't get the clearance. Kennedy wrapped him up, got it from Jack, gave it to McVeigh. Little fumble by Lloyd. Back in, back at it. Shaw. Impact early, McGlynn. Heads for the pass option. Bounce pass to Reid. Had Heaney. Gives it to Tippett against his old team. And the first goal against them.
Well done. Good play there. McGlynn as you said, Dwayne, a couple of critical touches early. What I liked about this, he turned his head, summed up the Sydney forward line. He saw Reid charge out. See here at the bottom of the screen, against young Jake Lever. Couldn't quite hit the kick, but really good recovery by Sam Reid. What a lovely finish by Kurt Tippett. We talk about the contested marks pre-game, Jace. No need for the contested mark when the big boy's doing that. Pretty happy with that finish.
Was front page news when he left Adelaide, of course. Kurt Tippett had an 11-game suspension after that salary cap and draft tampering investigation. There were fines, suspensions, and finally gets a chance in his third season with the Swans against his old team Adelaide the first time today.
Eddie Betts looking for a free kick there, taken out of it.
Interesting to see him starting at half back there, charging through Jace. Eddie Betts nearly got it too on the fly.
Pushes forward quickly. Nick Smith picks him up.
Does like to do that, Mitchell. Laidler to go back and get it. Smith, Franklin. Talia got a fist in, so Ted Richards back in to play on Walker and Talia back in to play on Franklin today. Thompson, wing tackle was good. Good little flick up by Riley Knight. Now McKay
downfield free kick here to Jenkins.
Okay, so Jenkins will take it.
And he'll have a shot for goal. That's against Grundy.
That's their biggest problem at the moment, Chase. Rounds 1 to 9, Sydney were the best in the competition one-on-one. Since round 10, they're ranked 18th at winning one-on-ones, losing almost 1 in every 3. It's just a fraction too high at the moment, and they're starting to grab, they're starting to get nervous.
So 27 goals so far this year for Josh Jenkins. And the pockets are not as deep here at the SCG as they are on some grounds. It's across the face a little. It's coming back. And didn't have the carry anyway. And had it been accurate, it might have. Laidler. Jetta. Lloyd. It's Rory Sloane, the umpire, screaming at. To Jetta, not 15. Might be a little stricter on the not 15 today. Grundy.
Oh, bad fumble.
Absolutely. Lloyd put it to grass. Here's Eddie's turn to weave some magic. Goes for goal. Rampy gets back goal line. Just pokes it wide. Hoping Hanbury clean bowled him, really. McKay. Well, they'll get it back anyway, the Swans. Rampy.
A little lucky. The Rampy kick was ordinary the first time coming out. Needed to hit the target. That's one of the reasons their rebound from defence into attack has broken down. Just the skills, some of the field kicking from Sydney has been average.
Franklin sets up for this one. Knocked away by Henderson. Good start for both teams. Ruckman tie up. Nankervis and Jacobs. Straight through Jetta's legs. Lynch saw Sloane, couldn't get his arms free, dropped it. Sloane feeds it on. Lyons sees it roll past him. McVeigh. Rampy. Hasn't got any free options long. Handball option wide. Lloyd to set it up.
Hanbury's been in space for a long time.
Okay, so we had that short. Back to Lloyd. Overcooked the handball. A little untidy.
That in itself, I think, is indicative of what we've seen from the Swans as their forms dip. We saw a poor kick that bounced to Hanbury, then he picks it up and he misses the handball back to his target. So they've just got to clean up some of their skill errors.
Lyons lays a tight tackle on Parker. And on this ground, players are holding back. There's plenty of players inside each attacking 50. Hanbury caught, jumped on, caught too high.
It's going to be harder for him to go forward here, Sydney. Henderson is a free ahead of the ball.
Just 18 possessions last week as well. Dan Hanbury was averaging over 30 possessions a game before that. Little underground handball from Smith. Couldn't find a target. Ball in.
And an area that's let him down, Dwayne, is his kicking. Hanbury gets a lot of the footy, especially his forward half kicking, going inside 50 to his forwards. He'll be looking to improve on that today.
Good tackle on right. Got a hand free. Jacobs. Here's Dangerfield. Straight through the middle of the pack. Got it the half forward. Walker as Betts runs on for the knock on. Didn't get to him. Hanbury, slick hands, but it hit the deck. Walker didn't really look. Laidler in a 2-on-1. Grundy the other one. And now Jetta will want to go. Can Sloane shut him down? He does. He was on the wrong side to keep running. Laidler. Bounce past to McGlynn, but he's good enough. McVeigh. Dan Curvis, and he uses it pretty well normally. Reid can't mark it and bring it down. Lever, last week's NAB Rising Star nominee. Hardigan caught. Under some trouble. Umpire circling.
The ball came out first.
Oh, yeah, gone. The umpire was just circling, trying to get a better view of it.
It looked like the ball came out and then went back in. Luke Parker gets this shot. Isn't he a fantastic player for Sydney, whether he's getting possessions in the midfield or having an impact up forward?
Plays his 100th game next week against Geelong at Simmons Stadium. As we heard pre-game, there is some hope that Adam Goods might return for that. And that's an ugly kick. Only just scrapes in for a score.
Crows showing a lot of faith in young Jake Lever, Brownie, because when Tippett goes forward, Lever's picking him up and Hardigan's moving over onto Reid.
Yeah, you would have thought it'd be the other way around. Hardigan certainly physically is better matched for a Tippett. But they rate him very highly at the Adelaide Crows. Jake Lever, of course, NAB Rising Star nominee last week.
Walker up with one hand, though. Right for the crumb. Slips. Took it over.
Look at the recent form of these two clubs. Round 17 and round 16. Sydney doesn't look great, does it, Jace? But Adelaide into a little bit of form. Of course, the opposition's not as strong as Sydney's last two teams they played against.
Good use of hands. Nankervis and Hanbury.
Another missed target.
Lever. And he misses one as well. But there's some pressure out there. It's a finals-like contest, and it feels a little like spring at the moment. 23 degrees, sunshine, even the wind has some warmth to it. In the ruck contest, McGlynn again, but he couldn't find his handball target. Cunningham, Shaw, Franklin.
In range. Gee, Ben McGlynn's been lively. He missed his handball target that time. You called it correctly, Dwayne, but he's getting to the fall of the ball. His ability to latch onto those ground balls is something that they've missed when he hasn't been there. You wouldn't think he'd have too much trouble with the distance from here.
42 goals for the season. Josh Kennedy, the leader in the race for the Coleman, with 56. He's back in this week, Lance Franklin. Kicked 4 goals and got the 3 Brownlow votes the last time these two teams met. But as I said, it was over a year ago.
Bang.
And how's that for perfection? Perfection Lance Franklin style on the left.
It's a stunning kick. Great kick. Split the middle and has gone through post high.
Especially to just got the mark, though. He's just got to be a little bit careful. Talia hot on his tail, but you see a nice push off. We watch at the bottom of the right-hand screen here. Franklin comes out and he just leans back this second time, push off a little bit just to get that yard on Talia. Got to be a little bit careful, though, marking on the chest. Now look at the man there on the left hand of the screen, the Adelaide guy, just trying to put Buddy off when his kicker didn't work then. Oh, look at these Swans boys, red hot in the last month. Big Josh Kennedy, he's just leading the show here. Can Buddy chase down the other Josh Kennedy for West Coast for the Coleman medal? Good start.
I didn't recall that bounce, even though it travelled outside the circle. Parker wide, Lever dragged down by Nankervis and rolled in the tackle. Toby Nankervis, just his 4th game. Not wanted in the 2012 draft, but he improved enough to be picked 35 the year after. Jacobs put his hand down, went and got it. Quick hammer inside 50 by Mitchell. Eludes Nankervis, and he can set up for the ball in. 2 coaches, Scott Camporelli, caretaker coach. Loss of Phil Walsh in tragic circumstances, and the Adelaide Crows having a think about who'll coach next year. In the meantime, Sydney a hold, and it's going to Tippett. So a chance for his second.
So you like these sort of free kicks as a forward or as a ruckman, either or. Chance to get his second on the board and really have an impact, really put his own nerves at ease against his former club.
He's kicked a few big bags in his time and be extremely happy with his start.
Yeah, great finish there by the big fella. 2 goals. Came in, spent a lot of time in the ruck, certainly today, and has all season really, but this is where we love to see him contribute. Now have a look at this ruck contest here. A little bit of a grab by Jacobs. I think the free kick was there, Jace.
See that happen a lot.
See it happen a lot. Not happy.
Happen a lot.
Well, anyway, the main thing is he went back and took it. That's right, 2 big goals, and he's away to a flyer.
Just having a look at the Sydney brand of football, it's reliant on what they do without the football. The pressure gauge through the roof there, you can see plus 108 points already. If you win that head-to-head, you win 60% of games. So that is a massive advantage. That's why the Adelaide Crows are only kicking the ball at 43% at the moment.
They grabbed it at the same time, both Kurt and him. Thanks, Kurt. Coming out this way, guys.
4 goal to 1 start.
Hold the meter, hold the meter.
8 tackles to 2 in favour of Sydney. So when they haven't got the ball, and they've had it most of the time, they've been all over Adelaide.
Thompson gets the clearance. Eddie Betts sees a stand on his end. Sidestep was okay. Handball wasn't so good. Straight to his old teammate Tippett. His handball just as bad. Charlie Cameron had a chance but let it go. Mitchell feeds it back. Cunningham, not 15 to shore. Tried to claim it. It went 6. Back to Cunningham. Smith. McVeigh. And Jack runs for him, and he's in a panic. Who does he want? Hanbury over the top, runs back in. Little juggle, it's okay.
Good transition again by Sydney from defensive 50. As we spoke earlier, that's where they really struggled with. I've been watching Kieran Jack. His work rate has been tremendous, the co-captain for the Swans. He's been working up and back, up and back. Hasn't had a lot of the footy early, but he's been tremendous in the example he's setting for his teammates.
15 seconds.
So it hasn't been a great 2 weeks against the West Coast and Hawthorn for the Sydney Swans. But they've got their mojo back right now at home.
Now they're on early, the Swans. They are making a statement. Some of their key players getting involved. You get Tippett with a couple of early goals. Franklin gets an early goal. Hanbury pushing hard forward. But that's the second time in this first term they've got a goal directly from transition, from deep in defence, and just breaking open. The Swans running the other way. It happened with Cheddar early in the game, and this one, a terrific kick from Jack finding Hanbury.
Yeah, it was. As I say, the pressure's been really good. They've had high tackling numbers the last month. It's because they've been chasing tail a lot. But today, they're forcing the opposition into mistake.
As obviously has to happen. You kick a goal, you come off. Back in the middle. Jenkins and Tippett went at it. McVeigh crumbs it. Look for Kennedy on the move. Isaac Heaney. Franklin coming hard. Goes up. Can't bring it down to his advantage. Through some legs. Heaney jumped on. And he was in good form despite the loss in his return game last week. Isaac Heaney, ball up.
Straight back inside.
Also a contender for the NAB Rising Star this year, even though he's missed a lot of games. Lyons caught. Gets a kick out. Cameron, good half volley. Slick hands to Douglas.
Can't just bomb it forward, the Crows, because you've got Laidler just sitting back sweeping.
So Wright could consider taking it out. He doesn't. Back inside. Sloan to get some momentum going. But he holds it up. Jenkins.
Hold, Lance, hold! I got it.
A little slip from Lance. Oh, and there's a slip from Lynch. Parker slips away with it to Rampy. 2-on-1, reads the one. Oh. And what a one. McLean dances his way clear. Look for Heaney. Good pressure from Heaney. Got it away from Brown. Rolls it towards goal. Hasn't quite got the legs. Lever. Stepped Heaney nicely. Missed his target. Jack. Jetta within range. Went for the big launch.
Should have gone the torp there. We saw him pre-game, didn't we, Jace? Laying torps down from about 70, and he got a couple through, actually.
He loves practicing them, but he had a lot of targets he could have looked for then if he wanted to. Still, it's okay. He made the distance. He backed himself to kick it. Just needs to make sure he does.
About to tick into time on. In this first quarter, clash between 4th and 7th. Reid. He's got some firepower to kick to. He's got Franklin. He's got Tippett. Sits it up top of the square. And neither could get near it. Nankervis made a contest late.
Good courage from Sloan. Standing in front of the pack. You know the pack's coming at you.
It's his trademark.
It's a good hit.
Led wide, and it was a good hit. So into red time now. Time on begins. Still 7 minutes left. Douglas. Caught. Kennedy dragged down. Pressure's been intense though. Jenkins flicks it out. Douglas up against the boundary. Gains some ground. Shaw took it out. Didn't think he took it out initially. Looks around a little confused. And everybody can reset.
Kieran Jack, there he is, co-captain of the Swans. Only had the 4 disposals with 3 scoring assists already. His work rate's been tremendous. He's been up and down the ground, setting up at stoppages.
Sloan to Thompson to Wright, missed it.
Slipped as he went to kick it.
Shaw, Kennedy, Dangerfield got a hand on it, and that could be enough. He should get it back here. Does get it back, got his arms free. Sloan bangs it long. Eddie Betts lurking, up. Knocked away.
Big matchup today. Nick Smith on Eddie Betts there. A couple of All-Australian calibre players. He's the key to their forward line, but we'll need a little bit better service than what's coming in at the moment.
They desperately need one here in red time, the Crows.
Smith about to be caught. Parker flicks it away. Mitchell with Smith. Well, fortune favours the brave, perhaps. They took it on. Haven't got away with it yet. On the rebound. Made them pay. Lynch rams it home.
Bit of a rare mistake there by the Swans, just coming out of that stoppage. Just watch it unfold here.
Good pressure, good defensive pressure.
It was really good.
Tom Mitchell could have
Thompson.
rushed it. He thought he'd keep it in. They tried to set up some run, and they've been very good at this early on. But just giving it to a player under pressure, McVeigh, not much he could do about that.
Well done by Dangerfield. Terrific tackle. Good little finish there. Tommy Lynch.
Broke a run of 4 goals in a row to the Swans. Jacobs in the ruck to Thompson to Dangerfield. Straight out of the copybook and straight out of the middle. Dangerfield. Jenkins couldn't quite half volley it. Good smother though. Dangerfield flicks it back towards Betts. Lynch. Had lines by hand. He goes by foot instead. Grundy a fist on it. Knocks it back down. Charlie Cameron. Stripped of it. Laidler. Stripped of it. Dumped late. A few players with hands on knees already. It's been an intense opening term. Mitchell. Not quite Smith. Knocked away from Lynch. McGlynn went to ground. Jack. Great speed. Good leg strength. Canterbury. And it opens up beautifully. Inside to Jetta. He's got a one-on-one forward. Tippett's calling for it, and he's hit lace out.
That's a superb kick from Jetta. He turned around quickly. He waited for Tippett to lose his man. A bit of jostling, pushing and shoving off the mark, and then he was 5 metres clear. He got hit lace out.
It's interesting. You just got to watch that matchup here with Lever on Tippett. Tippett's a lot stronger man. He was able to do a fair bit of work off the ball to create this separation.
Don't go over.
Geez, they are running and gunning with some good speed. The Sydney Swans coming out of stoppages nicely. Really up and about, all their midfielders.
This is for number 3 in the opening term for Kurt Tippett, and the goal umpire did not move.
Ominous signs here. Tippett, great finish. He's up and about, no doubts. He spent a fair bit of time in the ruck, but he's been able to hit the scoreboard. But this was all started really breaking again from the defensive half. The work off the ball. We look at him bottom left hand of the screen here. Kurt Tippett against Jake Lever. Just a nice little push off. What Lever did there, the mistake he gave Kurt Tippett his back. And it's an easy push off. Pushed him away. Nice finish.
Really good balance there when you see the Sydney Swans. They've kicked 4 goals from stoppages, one of those centre bounce, but three of their 6 goals so far have come from defensive half work. So their counter punch game is in good order today, lads.
Absolutely. A few players slipping over out there as well. Reid tries to burst through. Dangerfield. Lever. Laird. Walker, throw that away, just handed it off. But Thompson takes it out. Still the cricket pitch in the middle of the SCG, one of the few grounds left that has a pitch in the middle. Not a lot of players, well, I don't think anywhere screw-ins these days. It's long moulded or short moulded.
They're all blades.
Jack towards Franklin.
Oh, well read.
Couldn't quite get there.
Well read by Laird. He left his man early because he knew where the kick was going and cut off a possible lead and mark from Franklin.
Who go up? A few stay down. Sloan did. Later tackle. Kennedy. Smith. A roller. Hartigan got there first. Wants a handball option. Talia. Nothing back there. Went forward. Something there. Right can go.
Play on. Knee.
Thompson. Walker. Good fist, Ted Richards. Smacked it away. Lloyd. Richards. That wasn't so good. Put Rampy under some pressure. Shrugs the tackle from Cameron. Jetta. Overcooked it to Shaw. One-on-ones everywhere he looks. McVeigh's put it in front. And Thompson looks a little cooked. He couldn't chase him down there. Hanbury.
I think a lot of them looked a little bit cooked, Dwayne. The Adelaide mids especially. Sydney's got great energy all across the field. They're outrunning the Adelaide opponents at the moment.
It is a warmish day. As I mentioned, 23 degrees, which
Move it on. Play on.
is about double what it is in Melbourne today. Rampy. I think it's bucketing rain in Adelaide as well today.
Play on.
It's told to go. 2.5 minutes left. Early and
Adelaide, push out.
unrealistic leap according to the umpire. Wright's ball against Parker.
Go now, mate, go now. Move it on. Play on.
See if they can steal a bit of momentum back here late. To half forward. Richards goes up.
Against Walker.
Yeah, he's just not flying for his marks the way you'd like to see him. He's more worried about making body-on-body contact with his opponent, Richards. Rather see him just attack that pack and crash it. If he doesn't mark it, at least it comes to ground.
Well, that's right. It puts pressure on Richards to maybe infringe on him then to stop the jump. He's a powerful beast, and that's an area that Richards will have problems. Certainly when Walker jumps up with the ball.
Particularly given he had front position. Should have just attacked the footy and, at the very least, split the pack, bowl a few over.
32 years of age, Ted Richards has been a fantastic pickup by the Swans, and they've picked up some players and made them stars over time. Smith takes it to the boundary in front of Betts.
Not even the most positive recruiter at the Sydney Swans would have thought that Teddy Richards would be able to come out and play nearly 250 games for the Swans, Dwayne. He's been a great stalwart.
And not quite done yet. Henderson back. Lever. Laird. Up against the boundary line. Anderson. Sloane's going to have to go. They all go in the end. Big pack goes up, comes to ground, and Walker was looking for right, even though a few Swans were appealing for deliberate.
There was a bit of contest, though, that one from the Adelaide forwards.
They just need to get proactive here, the Adelaide mids. Instead of being on the heels, they need to get moving. Seems to be the Sydney mids that are moving.
And is that 50? Okay, umpire explains that Sloane didn't know it was a Sydney free when he kicked it.
So we see there, Dwayne, it's the Sydney mids that are getting proactive. They're the ones getting on the move at the stoppage, and the Adelaide mids are the ones that are, I suppose, following a little bit there. That's when free kicks do happen.
Heads wide again. Early leap, no mark. Sloane with the crumb. Henderson, Douglas, Smith. Lynch,
Tough
absolutely.
Kick. Did well, Lynch. Did well.
Hanbury, caught, flicks it out. Again, Henderson got his hands free. Charlie Cameron couldn't pick it up. Jenkins does. Hands it off to Douglas. Needs a pass target. Nothing home. Smith gets there, search for the line initially. Jetta in a 1-on-3. Lynch should gobble this up. Ugly again inside 50. You just can't mark those. Rampy. Jetta. Parker. McVeigh. Space opens up. Puts it out in front of the runner, Lloyd. Lyons hunting him down. Shaw. The 0-1-2 works to perfection. Released him nicely. Long, Reedon and Curvis, but the siren just beats them. But a fantastic opening term. The out-of-form Sydney Swans are back in town and back in form. They lead at quarter time by 24 points. Signs of support for Adam Goods wherever you look, and a huge round of applause when Lewis Jetta got them on the board. And Kurt Tippett, first game against his old team, got them up and running with 3 goals in the opening term, and the usual suspects also enjoying being back here at the SCG. 6-2-38 to 2-2-14. Sydney Swans in control by 24 points at quarter time, and it was exciting to watch, see them in that kind of form.
It was, and this is the Sydney that we've come to know and love over recent seasons, and they'd been missing for a few weeks. So it was great to see them play this style of football. The way that they were able to quickly transfer the ball from half-back into the forward 50 and to targets, not just kicking to space but to hitting targets, it was outstanding stuff. And Kurt Tippett, his first quarter, to get 3 goals on the board in his first game against his former club. Now that one's in the ruck, so you don't blame Jake Lever for that one. Nothing he can do when Dick Jacobs is on him in the ruck throw-in contest. But this one here, he just loses Lever in the lead-up, pushes off him, breaks into space. But this is the good part of his game. He can be hit and miss in front of goal, Brownie, but he's kicked everything.
He can be hit and miss, but he's been terrific there. And very tough matchup on any Swans forward there, the way that ball is moving down the ground, the way they transition. Kingy.
When your ball movement's on, like you spoke about, lads, it becomes easy to score. The Swans rank 11th in the competition, only averaging 84 points a week, but today their forward 50 is working. 38 points in a quarter. It's their conversion inside 50 that we've really liked. 8 scores from 12 entries. That man, John Longmire, be really thrilled with what he's seeing. And alongside that, accuracy can right a few wrongs, Jace. 6 goals, too, is a fantastic start.
The other thing Adelaide would be disappointed with, their kicking efficiency that quarter was horrible, wasn't it, Jace? A lot of critical mistakes.
Fans still dancing here at quarter time to Sweet Caroline, which is the tradition at the SCG as part of the flavour, and action back underway. Jacobs down, but the clearance to Sydney. McVeigh, Hanbury missed his target. Lloyd, Eddie Betts wasn't really sighted in the opening term. Laidler, Jetta, Hanbury, Jetta, hunted down. Rampy sold that one nicely. Owning possession, but going all the way back to full back. Grundy, and a nice dance step on Jenkins. Jetta.
It'll need to be a good kick. If they can, oh, they haven't put any pressure on him.
It's going to make the kick a little easier.
Yep.
And make it a lot further away from his defensive goal to McVeigh.
Great kick.
Back to Jetta.
He's been very busy, Lewis Jetta. He's up to 12 possessions. This is number 13. He already has a goal to his name, and he's kicking at 86% efficiency.
85 maybe now. Brown cuts it off. About to put the Crows back inside 50 towards Lynch.
That's a great kick.
Eddie Betts running on. Open goal looming. Eddie gets his first.
I reckon if you're an Adelaide fan, that's one man you want to see hitting the scoreboard. I don't care how you get him involved in the game. You just called him. Dwayne had been reasonably quiet. He only had the 3 possessions prior to that for no scoreboard impact. But this is smart play from Tom Lynch. He knows Eddie can run into an open goal rather than have a reasonably difficult set shot. He'll let Eddie run in, get him in the game, get the team confidence up. And that forward line tends to feed off the sort of enthusiasm that Eddie Betts can generate. And that in itself shows you that the small forwards have probably been even more important than the key forwards, Brownlee, for Adelaide in recent weeks.
Charlie Cameron, the man that Eddie Betts is mentoring as well. It's been a great combination, the two of them. Eddie Betts has been a great mentor for quite a few kids in South Australia, not just with the Crows. McGlynn heads wide. And Henderson can't keep it alive. In fact, after the passing of Philip Walsh, Eddie Betts even spoke to the Indigenous players at Port Adelaide. They got together and had a meeting, a dinner, and he helped them get through it as well. He's a
great leadership, Dwayne, isn't he?
He's a great man in general, Eddie Betts. Always positive. It's a glass half full kind of guy. Handball wide. Rampy. From 45. Can't sneak it in.
Ooh, golden opportunity goes begging. Good hands. Opened up the time and space for Dane Rampy.
Talia.
Tell you what, don't underestimate the quarter of football that Daniel Talia played in the first quarter. We saw Franklin kick a goal. That was the only possession he had for the quarter.
Walker and Richards is beating him at the moment. Big Tex needs to lift in game 100. Here's Franklin on cue for you.
You'd like to think he's too far out.
He's thinking about it. He's got the wind up. It's got a lot on it. That's a monster. Trademark Franklin.
Summed it up beautifully there, Jason. You'd like to think he's too far. The Adelaide people would like to think he's too far.
And the blokes on the mark weren't diligent. They weren't diligent.
Yeah.
They didn't think he was just going to wheel and have a shot like that. But you have a look where he marks the ball. The chip comes over from Ted Richards. That's 55 metres out.
That's where McKay should have stayed on his left foot there.
And Tarley is sort of coming back towards the 50-metre arc. No one's coming in from the side.
How many times have we seen him do that? In his short time here at the SCG, and of course his time at Hawthorn, great finish.
He's running at 100%, buddy. 2 kicks, 2 goals.
He was a late withdrawal last week against the West Coast Eagles in Perth, and you could almost hear a sigh go around the ground when the fans found out that he wasn't playing. Even those that barrack for the West Coast Eagles wanted him to play. Thompson. Umpire circling.
The big
ball.
improvement.
Gee, that's hot.
Sorry, Dwayne. Big improvement we've already seen so far today for Sydney, which we haven't seen in the last month, is their kicking efficiency. Certainly their efficiency going inside 50. The forward half efficiency has been terrific today.
Jack.
We really need to see that 15 metres policed for the kicks, don't we? That one in the middle of the ground was about 8.
Smith heads wide towards Nankervis and Lever. So Lever's been taken off. Kurt Tippett, and he's got Nankervis, a couple of players young of games.
Well, it's
Jake Lever just 8 games, and as I mentioned earlier, Nankervis just 4.
Not a matter of being taken off Tippett, it's just that Tippett's playing in the ruck at the moment, and Nankervis is the forward.
Keep an eye on that then. Sloan, Dangerfield. Gets it back from Jacobs. Richards again. Right spot, right time. Laidler.
Adelaide's kicking's been terrible today.
Gee, Jett has found some space, hasn't he?
Yeah.
And he wants to go. Kennedy. We wanted to slip it through some Crows to Hanbury. Didn't quite get it through. Ball up.
Thanks, Josh. Straight back here.
Jacobs quickly down. Stolen by Tippett. Dangerfield gets back, left it behind. Thompson. Smith. Right. Is that 15? It won't matter. Lynch can go.
He's got to be careful, hit a target, because they've got a loose behind the ball, Sydney, and that's just a poor handball.
Turns it over. McVeigh leaves it back. Hanbury. Rampy. Run down. Charlie Cameron just couldn't wrap him up. Parker from outside 50 over McGlynn's head. Hasn't been a minute for the time capsule. Henderson goes wide. Talia.
There's a big story brewing down here, Dwayne. Buddy Franklin's just been taken downstairs. The doctor, following his footsteps. Maybe that back complaint resurfacing. Will keep you posted.
Little Freudian slip from you there, King.
Yeah.
We'll let that go through to the keeper.
The Dollars are following him too.
Yeah, that's a big story. And I've just mentioned how much everybody likes to see Lance Franklin playing every week.
Their attention to detail, Adelaide, it's not on at the moment. We just saw Charlie Cameron. He had Dan Hanbury cold in the middle of the ground. That was a soft tackle. He's got to be more aggressive than that. They've got to get harder at the contest. They're just allowing the Swans to dominate stoppages at the moment, to dominate general play. There's no pressure.
A lot of following.
So McVeigh inside 50. There is that Nankervis battle. Oh, Heaney ran into a roadblock.
I mean, he ran into his teammate. The Polacks by big Toby Nankervis, I think.
Let's hope he's okay. Returned from a knee injury last week. Oh, that could be ball, almost. Lyons rolls it out. Rampy got there first. Opens it up to the midfield to Cunningham. He's got runners. One of them's Jetta. He ignores that. Goes to Laidler. Short to Jack. Maybe just beyond his range, and there's no Franklin there at the moment. Tippett's in the goal square. Heaney, who loves the jumps in the goal square.
15 seconds.
He's thinking of Jetta behind him, who can bomb if he wants to. He goes with a short pass and somehow found some space inside 50 for Lloyd.
Somehow found space because really the Adelaide midfielders and the defenders are not setting up properly. That zone should have been set. There's no way known Sydney player should have been able to hit Lloyd there leading up. Way too much space. Not paying enough attention. Not swiveling the head. All the Adelaide guys there inside Sydney's forward 50.
He's hobbling as he walks back. Jake Lloyd began last season on the rookie list, but after his round 5 debut, played 21 games in a row to really establish himself. A couple of skip steps to 48. Nothing wrong with him. And nothing wrong with that kick.
I think Scott Camperelli would be really disappointed with the defensive structure there. When you've got a long hold up of a player outside 50 and you've got time to get as many players back as you want. We can see Buddy Franklin up and running. That's a good sign for the Sydney Swans. So he's back on the bench. But to have all that time to get yourself set up in the defensive 50 and to allow a lead into a pocket of space, no one cutting it off, that you can see they've got plenty of loose players that are just standing and watching. Too many people standing and watching with their arms up pointing at others and no one taking away the space.
There's Lance Franklin back on the bench. And it's going to plan for the Sydney Swans. They win this, they retain 4th spot on the ladder. Lions to Riley Knight. Bounces toward Betts. Couldn't quite half volley it. Charlie Cameron stalking it. Couldn't quite flick it up to a teammate. McKay dumped by Cunningham.
Great.
Gone.
And that's the difference in the tackling from the it's advantage.
Oh, advantage.
Did he get a handball away?
All the way back. Grundy, Smith, Richards, Mitchell, Laidler, Cunningham.
Number 23's on, Dwayne. He's sneaking forward.
Okay, Shaw, Nankervis, here it comes. It's coming his way, surely. Hanbury hasn't seen him. He goes inside instead to Jack. They might not need him. Reed. And the way they're going, they could put Franklin cotton wool if there's a problem.
It's another great kick from Kieran Jack going inside 50.
But Reed Kicked no goals and 4 behind last week. His confidence was way down in front of the big sticks. This is huge for him.
He's had 11 touches, Kieran Jack, and that's the 5th of them that's led to a scoring assist.
And his confidence is back as well.
I'm going to signs here for Adelaide. Very impressive signs for the Sydney Swans. We've seen all the big forwards involved here. Tippett, of course, 3 goals in that first quarter. But he's chimed in with 2, and now we get Sam Reid on the board as well. And he's been able to get some separation. Again, on Jake Lever there, he's struggling to go with his opponents when he's been on Tippett. This time on Reid, the guys are getting physical with him. When they push off in the lead, again, Reid gets the separation after a strong push-off and a nice finish.
Again, the Sydney Swans' ability to convert inside 50s into goals. 9 goals from 20 entries, going at almost 50%. It's 25% is their average for the season. So that's a huge day at the office for this forward 6.
Poor bounce, and now Josh Jenkins has been jumped on because initially the umpire told them to keep going at it. So now he's a little wobbly going for this. Kennedy. McVeigh.
Great kick again.
Jetta. Franklin's forward in his direction. Got it. How good was that?
Well, Daniel Talia is complaining to the umpire saying he had his arm held, but that is just on his merits. Out-bodied, too much strength from Franklin, and then he exploded on the lead.
Jetta's officially a problem now for the Crows. His ball use is the difference at the minute.
Just have a look at this. Good forward craft by Franklin.
Does he grab
See
the
Talia,
arm?
he's got his hand out there.
Well, he does, but he had
Just
the arm
cool.
out feeling for him to start with. You can't worry about that.
3 for Tippett, 3 for Franklin.
Well
3
done.
kicks, 3 goals, Brownie.
Yeah, very dangerous. Early on, he looked like he was a little bit tentative towards the ball. Jace, he certainly wasn't playing with outstretched arms. That time he didn't need to worry about it. He could easily mark on the chest without worrying about Talia because the work off the ball. Now, the kick by Jetta, they're unbelievable. They're a forward stream, of course, but he was able to get Talia off him. Talia dangled his arm out there. Franklin just grabbed that arm and flung him out of the way. Led beautifully onto that. Nice finish. No need to mark in the hands, Jace, when you get the ball delivered like that. Jetta's been a real problem, as Kingy mentioned just before.
It's a little different to some of the inside 50s in recent weeks for the Swans.
And another clearance, Jack. Just eludes Heaney. The mark taken by Henderson. They need a steadier. The Adelaide Crows in a hurry. 11 minutes left in the quarter. Dangerfield with Lloyd. Good use of the body, protected the drop zone, and he is off. Sloan forward. Grundy up early, slaps it away. Trapped by Lynch. Heads to Smith, within range. Struck it only okay. Goal square. Tex! That's what they needed.
That'll come round straight in front because he took the mark in the goal square. So they desperately needed that, the Adelaide Crows. They needed the skipper to stand up and win a one-on-one contest.
Made the goal umpire work. But they got it.
Yeah, it was a good play there. Brodie Smith was able to... He probably sized up the goals. He's such a big kick, but I like Tex Walker. He charged back towards goal. He had Richards in a one-on-one here. Stopped and propped. Used his body well. Held his position. Well done to finish off that mark. This is what he's known for. Taylor Walker very strong in this one-on-one contest. Probably hasn't jumped at the ball as much as he would have liked early in the game, but nice for his confidence to be able to get on the board.
Sun setting on a beautiful day here at the SCG. And it's just brightened up a little for the Adelaide Crows as well. Mitchell couldn't quite get it away. Hanbury can't get the clearance. Riley Knight put his head down. Umpire said play on. Grundy. McGlynn. Franklin turned inside out by Talia. Can't trap it. McKay caught. McGlynn looks inside. McVeigh. Sidestep was good. Flicks it out wide. Unselfish. Hanbury top of the goal square. leads out and gets it delivered to him.
McVeigh's been good as well. Hanbury's coming up now for his 18th possession. McVeigh, 18 already. Just been a lot crisper in their forward half, that's for sure.
Then you get Jetta on 15, and you've got 7 more players in double figures for Sydney. There is not one Adelaide player that has hit double figures at the moment. Dangerfield has 9.
Disparity in disposals here, Jason.
Yep.
80 possessions already in the game.
They've got some quality. They can get back into some form in September. Dan Hanbury, All-Australian a couple of years ago when he was 6th in the Brownlow. He slots it. There's the instant reply.
It's the midfield that's doing the damage. They are smashing them in every facet, the Sydney Swans. And as soon as there is spread from the stoppage in the middle, the number of times that the Swans have been able to get forward of the Adelaide Crows midfielders and just run hard towards goal, it's meant that they've had plenty of options to choose from when they've been going forward. Been far too easy. Massive headache for Scott Camperelli. And
it has to be work rate. 81 disposed to Sydney, 29s to Adelaide. That's an absolute shellacking this quarter.
So look at the numbers. They are the top 5 disposals for each team. It's virtually double for all the Sydney players. And it's hard to get anything going if you're Scott Camperelli when your midfield is getting smashed.
Tippett got the clearance with the outside of his foot. Hartigan, Dangerfield, Douglas, Knight.
I'll tell you what, the way Franklin is running and moving, he's not 100% fit. He's just favouring a few things. And he was a little careful of that last contest, which is not normally his way, but he's protecting the body. There's no doubt about that. So I think that back injury has flared up a little bit, and he's just trying to manage it.
Tippett and Jacobs, who know each other so well. Little palm on from Parker towards Kennedy, cut off by Douglas. Thompson, dangerous. Hanbury, caught by McKay. Jack slips the tackle again. Shaw sidesteps Charlie Cameron and Eddie Betts. Ramping. Reed leads for it short. Goes shorter.
Franklin wants it long. He's got a 1 out.
Jetta's lurking in the goal square as well, taking off into space. It's in his direction, and he might call his teammate Kennedy in. He does. Still calling for it. You can give it to me if you want it.
He still might. They better be careful.
Yep.
Because if Kennedy has any doubts about making the distance, he knows Jetta will.
I mentioned Hanbury before was quality. Well, Josh Kennedy, he's had 31 and 30 possessions in the last 2 weeks in those 2 losses to the West Coast and Hawthorn. So he's been getting plenty of it, despite the fact that Sydney have been going down. Starts it right, pulls it back, post.
This is what we were talking about earlier. Just have a look at the way he approaches here. He just backs off there. He's just a little... There you can see he's favouring the back. There's no doubt that he's not 100% fit.
Sloan to right to Douglas in a one-on-one with Cunningham. They tied up.
And I dare say, Dwayne, if they happen to get this game in hand early, the Swans, they might just wrap up Buddy's night a little early as well.
Yeah, their sub is Brandon Jack. Inboard dangerously to Brown. Did well there, stood his ground.
It's a good topic, Jace. Do you think there's 7 minutes to go in the second quarter? It might be a good idea just to spell him right through half-time now. I mean, 44 points is the margin. It might be a good opportunity.
Yeah, you're right, Kingy. It'll be interesting to see whether he does come out after half-time. Maybe they just think, let's see if we can nurse him through. And they're probably letting Buddy make the decision about whether he can get through at the moment as we enter red time in the second term. The only thing is, he's not getting a lot of it, but every time he gets it, he kicks a goal, so he's probably keen to stay out there a little longer.
Kick around the body from Laird, and it's turned over. McVeigh. Up the line to Reed's lead. Good hands and hands in the back. Free kick to Reed. He didn't know it was his. See what Franklin can do here. He's lurking inside 50. It's in his direction. Lever. Big thump. Laird. Lions under some pressure. Turnover. McVeigh. Mitchell. Centering kick. Didn't go for home and missed the pass target that was on offer as well. Douglas. Dangerous to Jacobs. But it opens up both sides of the field for them.
Yeah, they've zoned up well here, Sydney.
Walker in a one-on-one with Richards. Richards wins that. Gets it to the boundary. Doesn't just fist it away. Ted Richards normally finds a teammate or the line. McVeigh. Mitchell. Richards back to him, to Mitchell. Hanbury, they're working hard to find some space. Smith, and it opens up perfectly for Rampy. Jetta. Cunningham. Feeds it back to Rampy. Missed his target, Lever.
Not a lot of run coming from the Crows. Getting held up very easily, and that's a pretty ordinary outlet kick.
So 44 points the margin, 5 minutes left. Big 5 minutes coming up here for Adelaide, because you can feel they're out at breaking strain, no doubt about that.
Yeah, the uncontested possession is a huge disparity there, and the tackling. There's been hardly any tackles laid this quarter. That just shows that Sydney's doing what they want at will here.
Well, we have seen a number of comebacks, so maybe the margin's not safe. But when your midfield is dominating the way it is, if I was John Longmire, I think I'd be getting Buddy Franklin off at half-time at the very latest.
Especially with Tippett and Reid both looking all right and looking dangerous down forward.
And I mean, the midfield's doing that much damage. It's hard to see Adelaide turning that around.
Shaw. Lace out to McVeigh, but he's beyond his distance.
Got a fair half, this bloke. Dwayne.
What's he up to now,
Coming
Brad?
up for his 12th.
Look out. Jetta inside. Oh, he sits it up for the big mark. Reid up. Heaney up. Oh, Reid had a big piece of it. Heaney got it. Nankervis. Still a chance. Flying shot from McGlynn.
I think you're kind in saying he sits it up for the big mark. I'm pretty sure he was having a shot. Sam Reid starting to jump at the ball and nearly took a ripper there. So McVeigh's up to 22, Hanbury 21. They are the top two possession winners on the ground. You've got two Adelaide players on 11, Douglas and Thompson.
Just eludes Thompson there. Seventh on the ladder, the Adelaide Crows, 9 wins and 6 losses, plus the 2 points for the game that was abandoned, so 9.5 wins. If you like, they are precariously placed in some respects. They could still finish top 4 with a big finish, but they could still miss the finals altogether, the Adelaide Crows.
Swans almost 100 more possessions just before half-time. 10 Sydney players in double figures, just 3 for Adelaide.
There's that ladder. Sydney win. 4th spot is theirs. Left behind. Kennedy to make Thompson pay. Mitchell. Options everywhere. 1-2 with Smith. Goes back to Richards to set it all up again.
They're doing as they please at the moment, Sydney.
Rampy. Wide to Heaney. Gets a huge cheer.
We showed the pressure gauge early in the game, and Sydney was dominant. Adelaide's pressure was almost non-existent. I don't think much has changed since then.
Parker goes up front of the pack. Wasn't meant for him, but he made it his.
Yeah, sorry, you talk about that pressure, Jace. It's and they look flat, Adelaide, don't they? But certainly Sydney's midfielders have come to play today.
Oh, they're smashing them.
They've got their game back. They've been really sharp, really crisp inside, winning the contested ball. They've been clean with their hands coming out of stoppages.
And there's another poster.
It was a good kick off the boot from the tight angle.
Absolutely.
Just about to say they've been finishing beautifully, which they have been. 11 goals, 5.
So look, it's still a massive difference. I mean, plus 53 is huge when we're talking pressure gauge. And that pressure gauge is all the different sorts of pressure that can affect ball use.
Straight down the middle, good delivery to Lynch. McKay. Lyons. And dropping back Knight.
Well, they'll get an opportunity here, but that pressure gauge is the reason Adelaide are kicking at 58% efficiency. Sydney, 67.
That was their best transition, the Crows, that half, really. That was from a kick in. Well spotted by Tom Lynch. I think it was a mistake by the Sydney guys. They didn't see Tom Lynch slip out the back of the zone. Well spotted up by Brodie Smith. Need a finish here.
Just his 4th game for Riley Knight. He knows how important this is. It's okay off the boot, but just across the face.
Just been watching Lewis Jetta just roam around and do as he pleases. He's had 17 disposals already prior to half-time. Averages 19 per game this year. He's their #1 ball user. He's their most effective player with ball in hand. That's just far too much from Adelaide Crows' point of view.
Jack, will he go up early? He goes with a fist against Talia instead. Hanbury.
Oh, well
did
done,
well,
Talia. That is brilliant.
Laird, I think he fooled them both. He was going to knock it out and he kept it alive. Hardigan, still a chance to get some momentum back heading to half-time here for the Crows. Right, he's got Taylor walking along, puts it in front. Jenkins couldn't. Gets a free.
Now, that's interesting because the umpire in charge did not pay that free kick to Jenkins. That was paid by the umpire further afield.
It was, Jace.
So perhaps he had a better view of it, and the umpire that was actually running the play at the time was obscured, but it looked like there was high contact.
What's your line, Josh?
Not sure if he got one in the back of the head there or he just took his eyes off the ball. He thought he'd already taken the mark. Interested to see the replay.
15 seconds, Josh.
See here. Just, I think bit of a combination. I think he took his eyes off the ball a little bit there, but
might have been a forearm to the back of the head.
1 minute 25 left. Clock should be counting down. As he kicks it, it does, and he sprays it.
It's one thing they can't afford. The Crows trying to claw their way back into the game. You can't miss gifts like that.
Rampy. That is deflating heading to half-time to miss a shot like that with 1 minute left. Tippett stands under this. Up. Fisted away. McVeigh.
a lot of time we see this fall into, see Buddy Franklin there. He's come to the bench early now with only a minute to go, of course, in this half, but they'll shut him down now. Try and get that back right. Get the magic spray out, Jace.
Still works, the magic spray. Little floater towards Reed. Talia's fist sends it over the line.
I'd be preferring the magic shower at this stage. 43 points of difference. This game, for all intents and purposes, shouldn't involve Buddy Franklin from here on in.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kingy. I think I'd be wrapping him up. I think they've got enough players in good form to get the job done, regardless of what transpires in the second half.
They've got Geelong at Simmons Stadium next week in a game that's already a sellout, and then Collingwood back here at the SCG. So you're right, a massive couple of weeks coming up for the Sydney Swans, as it is for Adelaide right now to get their way back into this. 28 seconds left, and it's Sydney's ball.
It's a really good tackle, an aggressive tackle from Kurt Tippett.
Jacobs, front spot, and Curvis couldn't flick it away.
Threw his hands up in the air, Kurt Tippett. I think he was exasperated that he set it up where he thought Curvis could have a run and jump at it, and he just didn't get there.
Ominous signs from the Sydney Swans. Few thought they might have been done and dusted for 2015 with a couple of losses to premiership contenders in the last 2 weeks, but they have made a statement in the opening half at the Sydney Cricket Ground. They lead 11 goals to 4 and a 43-point margin at a half-time. Back to you, Sandy.
Thank you, Dwayne. Yes, they have certainly made an emphatic statement in the first half there at the SCG. 43 points, as Dwayne said, is the margin, and the Crows have the job ahead of them. When we come back, we'll check on the games played so far today, so stay with us.
It goes for Garlett. This will test him. He engaged beautifully with the body and now turns on the pace to make sure of the goal.
Gave a little bit of a salute to the Collingwood cheer squad then after he kicked it, Bruce.
Oh, well, he kicked the goal. He's still smiling.